Welcome back to the Special Educators Resource Room. I'm your host, Jennifer from Positively Learning. If you are an educator looking for solutions to save time, streamline your day, and help your students thrive working independently, you've come to the right place. Hey, special educators, I'm Jennifer from Positively Learning. Welcome to the Special Educators Resource Room. If you're like me, you're always looking for ways to save time and streamline your work. That's why this podcast was created, to give you the systems and solutions you need to get your time back. Tune in for tips, tricks, and tools that will help you manage your workload and make the most of your time. Whether you're brand new or experienced, all are welcome in the Special Educators Resource Room. Happy New Year. Happy 2025. This podcast episode is going to ease us back into reality. I don't know about you, but I'm fine saying goodbye to 2024. It was a pretty good year until quarter four. We had hurricanes, hospitals, health. It just wasn't my favorite. So I'm ready for a fresh start. How about you? The new year is a perfect time to reflect on what's working and, let's be real, what isn't. If you're like one of the many teachers I've been speaking with, you're probably feeling that mid-year overwhelm starting to creep in. Your schedule is feeling packed. Your students might be a little squirrely after winter break and indoor recess, and you're wondering how you're going to keep everything running smoothly. Well, I have some good news. Today, we're going to be diving into one of the most impactful changes that you can make to your classroom setting up an independent work system that actually works. This is about so much more than just a box of tasks to sit on a shelf or another ebook to drop in your inbox. This is a system designed to help your students work independently while giving you back your time and energy. And to make this super actionable, there's a free on-demand workshop. On-demand means you can watch it anytime. It's packed with all of the step-by-step guidance you need to get started. So I'm going to tell you more about it at the end, but if you're ready to jump in, there is a link in the show notes. All right, let's get started. First, let's talk about why independent work systems are such a game changer. If you've already been using task boxes or file folders or work binders, but you feel like your students aren't as engaged or as productive as they could be, you're not alone. That's what I hear all the time. I hear things like this. How do I get my students to stay focused without constant reminders? How do I balance independent work with everything else we need to get done? Or my favorite, how do I actually find the time to make this work? Well, here's the thing. Independent work systems aren't just about the actual tasks. It's so much more. They're about teaching your students to take ownership over their work, which frees you up to do everything else that you need to do during the day, whether it's working with small groups, taking data, and, just catching your breath. So the benefits are that your students grow in their independence and confidence, you reduce interruptions and classroom chaos, and you finally get some breathing room in your schedule. So it's a win-win for everyone. But here's the secret. It only works if you have a plan. You can't just throw some tasks into a box and hope for the best. You need a system that's tailored to your classroom, your students, and your goals. And that's exactly what I'm here to help you with. Now let's get real for a second. One of the reasons independent work systems sometimes fall flat is because teachers are unknowingly making some super common mistakes. Here are 3 of the biggest ones I see. Number 1, choosing tasks without a purpose. It's very tempting to grab the cutest tasks you can find. You know your students are going to love them. Or you're picking activities that seem easy enough to prep. But if the tasks don't align with your students' goals or skill levels, they won't really be effective. Number 2, skipping the visuals and routines. Independent work systems thrive on structure and predictability. And if you don't have clear visuals or a consistent routine in place, your students might feel overwhelmed or unsure of what to do next. And the great news is it's such an easy fix. These routines should be very simple. Less is more. And common mistake number 3, not teaching the system explicitly. This is a big one. Independent work is a skill that needs to be taught and practiced. You can't just set it up and expect your students to know exactly what to do. It takes time to model, to teach, to practice and provide feedback. You're teaching the routine and you're going to gradually build up student independence. If any of these mistakes sound familiar, don't worry, you're not alone. And the good news is that they're really easy to fix once you know how. So how do you set up an independent work system that actually works? Well, that's exactly what I cover in detail in the free workshop. But I'm not going to leave you hanging. Here's a sneak peek of the process that I perfected myself through lots of trial and error and experience. It all boils down to these 3 key steps. Number 1, map your space. Start by looking at your classroom setting and figuring out where your independent work system will live. Think about the flow, accessibility, and how you can create a space that's going to minimize distractions. Then 2, create a routine. Once your space feels ready, it's time to design a routine that students can follow as independently as possible. This may include clear visuals, step-by-step instructions, and a predictable schedule. And step 3 is my favorite. It's all about selecting purposeful tasks. This is where your task boxes, file folders, and work binders are going to come in. You're going to choose tasks that align with your students' independent goals. Whether it's IEP goals, academic needs, life skills, I go into great detail about how to choose the right task for your students. And the best part is you don't have to do this on your own. This is all covered in the free workshop. I walk you through each step in detail and then share some of my favorite tips and tricks to make it all come together. As we wrap up these 3 key steps, I just want to take a moment to say thank you. If you've been following me for a while, you already know I'm not here for the fluff. You won't find me giving you a 27-step process or a list of things that sound great, but don't actually work in a real-life classroom. I'm all about sharing the real, practical, and doable steps that are actually going to make a difference. So think of it like this. If it's not something I'd use myself on a Monday morning before coffee kicks in, it's not going to make the cut. So the steps I'm sharing with you today and in the free workshop are tried and tested by me, by students, and now by thousands of educators that I've supported. And they're not just steps that sound good, they're steps that actually work. If this all sounds like exactly what you need right now, I've got you covered. The free workshop is called TaskBox Magic. However, feel free to substitute file folders, work binders, whatever works for you and your students. It's all free and you can access it by heading to the link in the show notes. In the workshop, I'm going to be walking you through step by step how to set up a system that fits your classroom and your students' unique needs. You're going to get actionable tips, free task boxes, even a free checklist to help you get started. So grab your favorite notebook, carve out 30 minutes, and let's make this the year your independent work system finally clicks. Again, you can sign up with the link in the show notes. And if you've already watched this webinar, I'd love to hear how it's helping you. So send me a DM on Instagram at Positively Learning, or you can always send me an email. Thanks for spending a part of your day with me. And as always, thank you for everything you're doing for your students. I'll see you next time in the Special Educators Resource Room. Thanks so much for tuning in. And I'm dying to ask, what'd you think? Be sure to hit the follow or subscribe button so that you never miss an episode. You can find the show notes and links for everything mentioned in this episode at positivelylearningblog.com. See you next week for more special education solutions.